What is going on, everyone? Adam here, your host of the Baseball World Today podcast. Now, as the time of recording this, we have some very big breaking news. We're talking literally happened an hour ago, and that is Liam Hendricks and his 3-year, $54 million contract. Now, I'm a little bit surprised by the money, but not too much. The last 2 years, this man has had a 1.78 and a 1.8 ERA, arguably the ranked number one by MLB's The Shredder. We'll talk about more of that later, as their number one reliever on their top 10 list. So, the only thing that could possibly really concern you is, outside of the last 2 years, this man has not been incredibly great for his career, but those 2 last years were incredible. This kind of reminds me of the Drew Pomeranz contract, simply because he was so dominant for that short amount of time, and then got I don't want to say a little bit of time for Liam Hendricks. It's certainly a bigger sample size, but Pomeranz was quite literally good for half a season, got a huge contract, not a huge one, but you get the point, and came out with allowing 3 earned runs last year, all in one game, I believe. So, I think this contract is going to be very well earned. White Sox fans should certainly be excited because their bullpen is certainly starting to stack up. Him and Aaron Bummer will be in the same pen, both very good relievers. I'll go over Bummer's stats really quickly. Bummer had a .96 last year to follow with the 2.13 the year before. So I'm sure there's more, and there's plenty of more back there too. This is going to be a good pen and going to really solidify a good White Sox team. A White Sox team that's going to certainly make a run at the Twins for the best team in that division. So, where do the Twins go now? Truthfully, I'm not sure. I have not heard much about them otherwise. I think this might be a point where the Twins sort of hold their ground and just stick with the guys they have, and see what they can do, and then adjust from there. They have a very good roster, though, with a lot of good players returning, Kopech returning, a lot of solid starters in the pen. I don't think this is an incredible team, but I certainly think with how weak the AL Central is, they are going to compete for the Twins for that division title, and we'll have to see how that goes. Certainly going to be interesting. Next, we are going to talk about DJ LeMahieu. Now, the DJ LeMahieu story is starting to get quite interesting. Everyone knows LeMahieu at this point. The stats just incredible the last few years, especially with the Yankees. A career .305 hitter. We all know at this point. Career .787 OPS, but in the last 5 years, just incredible stuff. We all know about him. Now, what we really don't know is where he's going to sign. And everyone sort of assumed the Yankees at first, but it seems like the odds of that are dwindling by the days. So, apparently the Yankees are not being too aggressive with DJ, and he's starting to get fed up with it, quite frankly. And he's telling his agent to push out to teams that seem more interested. And this list includes specifically the Blue Jays. I know the Red Sox are on it. I know the Mets are on it. Man, if DJ was to go do any of those teams, whether it's the Mets or other teams in the division, that will certainly hurt for the Yankees. It hurts just to lose them in the beginning. And last we had heard they were $25 million off on their contract talks, so I'm starting to feel like some momentum is certainly here for the Blue Jays to swoop in and make this move. If I was the Blue Jays, I would give him pretty close to what he wants and trying to get him signed as soon as possible. Otherwise, pretty soon the Yankees could come up with a deal to counter it or raise up the price. So we'll have to see what happens. This is starting to get very interesting now. This is something that surprises me. This is something that you don't really hear a lot from the Yankees, like not going after their guy like this. But obviously it's different times and a lot has changed, so we'll have to see. But DJ is expected to get a certainly big contract. The only problem is age 31 season. Do you really want to give a 5-year contract to a guy on this side of it? Blue Jays might. Yankees, I'm not sure if they can really afford to with the number of big contracts they already have. So, But if they feel like it's in their price range, they will certainly do everything they can to re-sign him. Now we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We are actually going to be going over the top 10 list that the MLB just came out with today. Ironically, it's the relievers, so we've already ironically have talked about 3 of these guys. So, let's just go over the list now. Number 1, we have Liam Hendricks, ironically signed about an hour after this came out. Certainly makes sense. We'll go over all of it actually before I go into it. Liam Hendricks 1, Drew Pomeranz 2, Devin Williams after just his rookie season, number 3, Nick Anderson, Rays 8th out of the pen, number 4, James Karinchak, not sure if I'm saying that right. Not many people know about him either. I believe very young in the league. Not enough people know about him. Brad Hand 6. So it shows how little relievers can be valued sometimes. If he was set to be owed $9 million and was turned down, he's a 6-pack reliever apparently. Aroldis Chapman 7. Aaron Bummer, who will be teaming up with Liam Hendricks now, will be number 8. Tyler Duffy 9. And shockingly, Josh Hader all the way down here at 10. Someone who throughout his entire career has basically been thought of as the top reliever, but did not have a good last year. Let's just go through them one by one and see what we think. So Liam Hendricks, 1, certainly understandable, 2 dominant seasons. Personally, I believe I would have Nick Anderson number 1. That might be a little bit of bias, but I just think everything he's done for the Rays, with the workload and the stressful innings, and how good he's been for so long, for a little bit more of a time span than the current top guys, that's probably who I would go with. But I think in the top 5, even, I would say top 4, you can't make any mistakes. Liam, Drew, Devin, Nick, any order, it's tough to argue. Number 5 is going to go James. Certainly agree. Man, this man is as nearly as under the radar as it gets. Not much more else to say. If you don't know about him, I'll read off the stats now. Let's pull them up. So James Karinchak, I believe I'm saying that right. 2 years in the league, 1.69 his first year, 2.67 last year in the shortened season. Only 9 runs ever allowed in his career. But man, for this guy, the second year ERA doesn't seem that incredible, but if you see his stuff, yeah, I think you'll know. If you know, you'll just have to know with him. His stuff is simply incredible. If you haven't seen it, you got to find some way to see it, because this kid is going to be dominating the league for years to come. And that's all I have to say about that. Next, we have Brad Hand, who teamed up with James last year. 2.05 ERA last year. 3.3 the year before. I feel like he might be a little bit high here. He certainly had an incredible year last year, but led the league in saves. Not like that stat really matters. Has certainly been quite good ever since 2016, but I feel like I'd have him a spot lower. I'd probably give who would I give a spot? I'd give Josh Hader that 6th spot and move everyone down a peg. Otherwise, this list is pretty good, by the way. Aroldis Chapman, number 7 right now. Let's look at this. So Chapman, definitely the biggest name on this list. Last year with a 3.09 ERA, his highest since 2017. Chapman has always been a dominant reliever, but the numbers have definitely risen a bit, and the concerns with him coming into a game are certainly higher than they ever been. I certainly know many Yankee fans who get concerned at times when he comes in, depending on how he's doing, because he can be very erratic. He can be very hot and cold. This days with his velo is just simply down. So it'll be interesting. Only 11 innings pitched last year. We'll have to see what happens next year, because it's possible he has another regression, and then we're going to be looking at him as his age 33 season, and where do we go with him now? Next, we got Aaron Bummer. Simply him and Tyler Duffy, criminally underrated. Bummer, we just talked about. he had a .096 last year with a 2.13 the year before. Only his age 26 season. This guy's going to dominate with Hendricks next year. No doubt about it. Doubt about it. Number 9, Tyler Duffy, 1.88 last year. Interestingly enough, his career ERA is up in the 4s, which we haven't seen with a lot of guys with this. But however, the year in 2019 had a 2.5. The years before that were all pretty ugly. So it really is kind of an amazing turnaround that he has had. However, the inning sample is only about, let me do some math, about 80 innings pitched over those 2 years. So I think he certainly is very good if you see him, but he might be a guy to keep your eye on. He's going to be entering his age 30 season. So I certainly think he'll still be good, but I definitely think the ERA could rise a little bit. And the last one is someone who, other than Chapman, the most known player on this list, I believe, Josh Hader. ERA rose to 3.79 last year, but man, other than that, this dude has been absolutely incredible. 2.0 his first year, 2.43, 2.62. Only his ERA has been the 2 every year except for last year. Kind of crazy. He allowed 8 runs in 19 innings last year. Crazily enough, though, only 8 hits. His control was just, and of those 8 hits, 3 home runs. His control was just bad last year. 10 walks as well, but the thing is, he still has that dominant strikeout stuff. So if he is able to rein back that control level, you could certainly see him at number 1 next year. Just incredible. I believe they were going to do the center fielder list soon, so we are certainly going to keep an eye out for that. Next up, a little bit more news. The Braves are looking for a left fielder, so they want Riley to play third next year. So that's interesting. So off the bat, you think Marcell Ozuna, but I'm not sure they're going to really want him out there with no DH. So they might try and sign someone a little bit younger, perhaps, and see if they can try to build a little bit more defense out there and someone who might fit their team in the long run a bit better. Maybe Benintendi could be an option for them if they like the upside, but that certainly remains to be seen. Now, really quickly, we're going to go over the top 10 available free agents according to MLB trade rumors. And next to them will be their original rankings. Let's just get right into it. Trevor Bauer ranked number 1. Obviously, still hasn't been signed. And originally, everyone kind of thought he might go to the Padres, but that seems to be quite off the table after the trades for Udorovich and Blake Snell. Shockingly enough, we don't really know what the market seems to be for him right now. And so, also, the Mets who are interested in him got Carrasco in the Lindor trade. So we're not really sure what the market is even going to be for him. I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard much, but this is something to certainly keep an eye on. JT Realmuto. The Phillies are the only team I've really heard about talking with him, and I've said a little bit of Jays and Angels, but man, basically nothing. George Springer, number 3. I still think he should go to the Mets. I'm not sure how that will work, though. It seems the interest has cooled off since Lindor. It's crazy how these couple of trades has had such a ripple effect throughout free agency, but it certainly makes sense. Again, where have we heard about any of these top 3 guys going? Number 4, Marcell Ozuna. Ironically, the first thing they said, wouldn't it be nice if MLB announced whether there'll be a universal DH in 2021? Yeah, I certainly agree. Ironically enough, today was the day in 1973 where the AL kept the DH full time. It would have been cool if the MLB could have done that, gave it to the NL on the anniversary, but no dice on that, unfortunately. Marcell, 30 years old, a insane hitter, but the problem is defense is just terrible. So until we hear more about the DH, it's tough for me to really think the Braves might try to bring him back. So we'll have to see where that goes. DJ, number 5. This is the play we've heard the most news on. So to expand the list of what I mentioned earlier, Dodgers, Red Sox, Braves, Cardinals, and Mets should be in the mix. Dodgers would certainly be. Man, if the Dodgers go out and get him, also the Blue Jays, obviously, Dodgers honestly wouldn't shock me if they made a push on him, but again, there's a lot of things the Dodgers could do, so I'm doubt they're in a rush. Number 6 on this list is Didi Gregorius. He was originally ranked 8th, but DJ, I have heard absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Only what I'm guessing here is Philly, Reds, or the Yankees. I honestly think the Yankees should sign Simmons or make a trade. Unless DJ comes back, obviously, but then the defense is going to suffer because the shortstop position was so bad defensively last year for them. So, and it's not going to improve. But anyway, beyond the point. Number 7 on the list, Masahiro Tanaka. So all we've really heard about him is that he's willing to sign somewhere other than the Yankees, and it says here he hasn't closed the door on a return to Japan. I believe I've heard otherwise. I don't think he'll be returning to Japan. I think he'll definitely get a contract in the MLB. I mean, obviously he will, as long as he wants to take it is the big thing, but it really might just be a lot about if he's where he gets an offer from, if he wants to really go there. But if he gets a good contract, I expect him to take it. Maybe teams that can't really afford Bauer will look at him. Like, I want to say the Mets, but no, their rotation is so filled. Same with the Padres, so it's just, I have no idea what to even say. Jake Odorizzi ranked number 9. The main suitor seems to be Red Sox. I think that would really be a perfect fit. I really do hope that I really hope that happens. Otherwise, we've got nothing. Again, I feel like this is really boring to listen to, but I'm just trying to go through these guys and give something interesting, but nothing interesting. We actually have Liam Hendricks here, just signed. He was predicted 3 years, $30 million, and he got 24 million more over the same number of years. Wow. Signed with the White Sox, obviously, so, man, he got paid, and he's certainly going to be worth it. Last on the list, Michael Brantley. I nearly forgot Brantley was a free agent. This is kind of getting sad, MLB. NBA is such a cool off season with all they have to offer, but with players signing so quickly, but MLB is the polar opposite. Which brings up another point I wanted to talk about. So many of you have seen that the NFL had a game on Nickelodeon, which was intended for kids. They were doing everything they could to get kids interested, as so far as even explaining some things. That being said, most of the people watching were probably adults like me that just thought it was kind of different, I guess. But let's just take a second to think about how the NFL has a game on Nickelodeon to try and get kids to watch. And for the MLB, you can't even stream a game on the MLB app in the same state. MLB has, I don't really know what to say. It's just so ridiculous. MLB just continues to shoot itself in the foot. Can't make any decisions, can't get anything done, and they just are making it impossible for kids to get into baseball, it seems like. Like, if I pay for the MLB at-bat, like, premium, I'm not really sure what it's called, and I'm, like, away, like, not at the home, and I pull up my phone to turn on the game on the app, how can I not watch the game on my phone? It makes absolutely no sense. If MLB really wants to grow the game, they gotta... Listen, a game like that would be incredible to have kids get interested in, get them going early. NFL, I think that was a great idea for them. It made a lot of sense. Maybe not going to be the biggest success ever, but listen, MLB not even trying anything, so it's sad. It really is. It really is. I think the only way kids even get into baseball these days are playing. I don't think anyone just watches baseball because, like, they're interested. Like, I'm not sure if I'm wording that correctly, but for example, I've watched football and basketball before without ever playing football, without playing basketball till I was really in high school. No one who hasn't played baseball really watches baseball legitimately. MLB needs to find a way to get kids more interested, and if they don't, it's going to seriously hurt the league. MLB is on a serious hot streak of making things difficult, going back all the way to almost not having a season because they couldn't agree with the owners or the players. Complete mess by MLB. I'm sorry, it just hurts my head to think about it. It really does. I'm just going to move on because it's upsetting me so much. We got one more rumor for the day. Philly's interested in Anibal Sanchez. He was pretty bad last year, so it kind of makes sense. He's like a wannabe Kluber, I feel like, where if you sign him, you're hoping for a better outcome, but at this point, last year he had a 6.6 ERA. He is going to be 37. He had a couple good years in 18 and 19, but man hasn't really been good since 2014. I'll never forget him nearly no-hitting the Red Sox in the playoffs. And I believe, no, he did throw the no-hitter in 2013. He gave up no hits through 6, I believe, and we got like a hit in the 9th with 2 hours, I believe, in the bottom of the 9th in game 1 of that LDS. And then we're getting no hit through 7 in game 2. Obviously, David Ortiz took care of that, but that year he was just marvelous, 14-2, but hasn't then had quite a few bad years, had a couple good ones, and it was quite bad last year. I don't really understand this if you're the Phillies and trying to be good, but this might just be Dombrowski trying to get one of his old guys, quite frankly, so we'll have to see where that goes. Does not make much sense at all. One last thing we're going to talk about is the MLB probability. So right now, 33% of what's it called? Ballots are available, and right now it does not seem like anyone is getting in. It just doesn't, which is kind of sad, but it makes a lot of sense. So right now, I believe it looks like Clemens and Bonds are at the top with Schilling underneath. I don't think anyone's going to get in there this year. I believe they'll all get in next year on the final year. Let's just dive into this and see what we got. So Bonds, Clemens, Schilling all at the top with about the same percentage. They'll probably all get in next year. If Bonds, Clemens, or Schilling don't, man, some people are going to be upset, and that might just be the MLB hurting itself again. After that, we have Scott Rowland. I don't believe he'll get in the next couple. I don't think anyone outside our big 5 of Bonds, Clemens, Schilling, A-Rod, or Ortiz will get in next year. But after that, I think there'll be a lot more space on the ballot for a guy like Scott to get in. Todd Helton's at 57%, I think, and Billy Wagner. I'm hoping those 3 get in at some point later down the line. Point to note, only 33.3% of the ballots are known, so these percentages are likely not that accurate. They certainly have some accuracy, but not going to end up exactly like this. So, yeah. So my guess, as it's always been, will be Bonds, Clemens, and Schilling will get in next year. Rowland, Helton, and Wagner will probably get in down the line. Luckily, a lot of space could come up. I don't think anyone's getting in, though. I don't think it will be too particularly close either. So to recap, Hendricks, blockbuster move, signing with the White Sox for $54 million. That pen could be very dangerous. This team is looking to take the AL Central. DJ, some serious drama. Certainly seems like he could sign with the Blue Jays now. Yankees will have to make a rebuttal soon. We got the top 10 list of relievers. The only real gripe I had with it was Hader being low after a very short sample size of being bad, but we gotta remember it's a computer that comes out with this. Braves looking for a left fielder. Austin Riley plans to be their everyday third baseman. For some reason, the Phillies want Anibal Sanchez. Hall of Fame percentages show no one likely to get in, and the NFL is marketing to kids, while the MLB, you can't even market to the people who actually watch. Kind of sad. That's all for today, folks. Thank you for listening. That's Adam signing out.